So I have just adjusted the volume settings a little bit, so hopefully you can hear me a bit better for the race here at Bathurst. The cars getting themselves ready, and this, we can only hope, will be enthralling. Benson on pole position in the Ford Mustang. Of course, for Team G-Force. Currently 9th in the standings with 28 points. Round 3 in this endurance championship, and still waiting for this race to kick off. And just 2 minutes away. Now, I will just say, halfway through this race there may be a bit of a gap between the two recordings. I can only record 1 hour at a time, which doesn't work for an hour and a half long race, but still, we continue onwards. So we've got 3 BMWs behind the pole sitter in this race. It's the 55, 43 and 46 cars. The 46 car second in the standings. "40 seconds away we are from the race start here at Bathurst. And now we can hear some engines roaring. This has every reason to be an enthralling race. After the first 2 rounds, only 5 points separating top 3, top 4 even, with 3rd and 4th in the championship tied, and Benson moves off to kick everything off here. And now we have the formation. Anamako already finding himself off of the track on the slow lap here. Benton in the Mustang. The slow lap around here is never the most exciting part, but it's crucial for the drivers to get enough temperature into their tyres, especially around a track that's so narrow like Bathurst. And still, we are on the warm-up lap here. Benton leading Canoro, Hurtado and Adamako. The top with Ramport there, that's the top 5. So Marshall in 6th has found himself ahead of a Ramport. That's probably going to need to be a position given back. And he does make it back through. So 2 Mustangs and 3 BMWs feature in the top 5 after qualifying, and now we are slowly but surely heading down towards the main straight. Where we can finally see some action happening. And up over the crest, and now downhill. Canoro getting very close behind Benton twice there. But now they find themselves in formation. Again, Marshall finds himself a lot further on ahead than he should be. We've got cars everywhere here, heading down towards the final corner, ready for the start of today's race. Around the final corner, and once they cross the timing line, they can floor it. Which they do. Benson floors it. He's got Canoro just on the outside of him. Can't quite close the door yet. On the inside, managing to keep his lead. Second place for Canoro. Then it's Hurtado in 3rd place. Adamako keeps 4th. Benton having to weave across the track to make sure that Canoro doesn't have the opportunity to make it up into the lead of the race. But the top 5 is as qualifying had it, but Ramport has made it up a position, I believe. Oh, Ramport, yes, is up into 4th place. Hurtado has lost 2 positions there. There's Marshall, who's gained a position. Oh, clipping the grass there, just about keeping it on as they go down into the chicane. Can everyone keep it clean through the chicane? This is Dominguez in the McLaren, currently running last place. But nice and steady. There's Canoro fighting Benton for the race lead, but has got to make sure he's aware that Adamako is there right on his tail, battling. So Canoro is about 8/10 behind Benton as they head down towards the chicane. And now the back straight towards the final corner. And we're about to complete lap 1 here at Bathurst. Canoro under a lot of pressure from Adamako behind, just 2/10 separate them. Benton does now have a bit of a gap. So a good first lap for Benton, and that is exactly what he would have wanted and what his team would have wanted Team G-Force 9th in the standings. That's probably going to change as long as their race can stay like this. A really, really good start. And Adamako running second then. He's managed to make that move. There's Butler in 8th place, also in a Mustang. The number 450. Twelfth place is for Kowalczyk in the Porsche. Decent position for him to be on. There's the Aston Martin of Stanek. His team, multi-liga team, currently running 10th in the championship with 26 points. And as things stand, being an 11th would add another 20 to that. There's Adamako, second place, trying to close that gap to Benton, although he did just clip the grass there. But he's got a decent gap to Canoro behind him. MJ Esport are in second place in the championship, and they'll want to try and keep that or improve on it with a race win. So it's all up to Adamako to close that gap. But passing is one, catching's one thing, overtaking is a whole nother ordeal. And 1.4 seconds separate P1 and P2. Canoro 1.7 seconds behind his fellow BMW driver. And then fourth for Iramport is Canoro in the purple and green BMW down. Oh, that's off. And Adamako's put it in the wall from second place. He's found himself in the barriers. Now, I mentioned this chicane during qualifying. Downhill braking zone. It has no room for error. And Adamako now finds himself in 12th place. That is not what he would have wanted at all. Oh, he's put it in the wall again. He's in the wall again. And off to the side and into the pit lane. Wow. There is Stanek in the Aston Martin then. So a team that it's in second place in the championship now seemingly out of this race. And that means Canoro is promoted to second place. But with a mountain to climb, as Benton 3.9 seconds now ahead. And 13th place for Dominguez. And there is Marshall, 4th place in the Mercedes. His team, Champagne Endurance, currently 3rd place in the standings. And a 4th place won't hurt that too much. But Canoro, second. And this could become a pretty big, intense battle between Stanek and Kowalczyk. And Benton, well, it's 5 seconds now, the gap between him and Canoro. I wonder if Canoro's made a slight error, but Benton, in the early stages of this race, things going really well for him indeed. He'll really be hoping to continue on this form. Down into the chicane. Just about holding onto the car there. Down into the final corner to start lap 4 of many, many more you would expect. There is Butler in 7th place in the Mustang. That's things looking pretty decent for him. Although he'll want to try and overtake a few of the cars ahead of him, including Peterson in the Ferrari and Hurtado in the Mercedes. There's McMillan in 16th place. And Hurtado in 5th, under pressure from Peterson, and he's trying to close that 2-second gap to Marshall. Hurtado just about keeping it out of the barriers there. And Canoro in 2nd place. And that mountain just gets bigger and bigger. 6.1 seconds between him and the race leader, Benton. But yeah, really rather impressive in the early stages from the Mustang drivers. We're now on to lap 5. So, Canoro in the number 55 Prestige Worldwide Racing, his team, currently 5th in the championship, and 34 points, 6 points off of 4th and 3rd, and this 2nd place would likely improve that. And Canoro is starting to pull out a gap to Irampor behind. As that is... oh, if I can find it. Irampor side by side with Marshall. And Marshall makes it up into 3rd place. But very impressive there from Irampor. So Marshall now running in 3rd place, 2.7 seconds off of Canoro in 2nd place, and then almost 10 seconds behind the race leader. But as long as he can close the gap to Canoro, he might be able to make a move and then be the challenger to Benton. Oh, a big hit! And it's Hurtado. Hurtado in the BMW. And it's out of the final corner. He's ended up into the barriers. And down to 11th. Heartbreak for him. He crashed at the chicane while chasing for pole position. Ended up 3rd and is now all the way down in P11. That, well, is not really something you're going to end up shouting about. There's Sparks as well, as he goes over that curb. Oh, snap of oversteer there from Kowalczyk. And Benson, we have to keep going back to him because this is some dominant display that he's showing in the early stages, in the first 15 minutes of this race. He has done extraordinarily well. Pulled out an 8-second gap to Canoro in 2nd place. And so, on to lap 7. There is Iranpour, and he's still trying to repass Marshall for 3rd place. Marshall, ooh, it clipped the curb and had to correct a little bit of oversteer. But all is okay for now, at least. As here is the onboard. Chasing after his man. And it's all about following the car in front of you and making sure you don't make any silly mistakes while following the dirty air. Can also affect you at such a narrow circuit like Bathurst, as they now go down into infamous chicane that's claimed a couple of drivers today. But all seems good, at least for now. But now, Iranpour's biggest problem is Peterson, who's just hanging around behind him, waiting for the opportunity to pounce. Of course, it's a track that we've seen punishes small mistakes, and so as a driver following, you've got to be aware of that and be able to capitalise on your rival's mistakes. So Canoro is now in the lead of the race. I'm not sure what's happened there, but there's Dominguez going far away from the track. Canoro is now in the lead. I'm not entirely sure what has happened, but the Mustang seems to have disappeared. Doesn't look like he's pulled into the pit lane. It's very possible that he's just completely disconnected. And that's promoted Canoro into the lead. But that was such a dominant display. And yeah, no, Benson's there. Benson's now 10th and in the pit lane. There, Benson in the pit lane. I didn't see what happened. But he's in the pit lane. And well, now all I know is that Canoro is leading. And that is heartbreak for him. Whatever has happened, he seems to be out of the race. And so it really doesn't seem like his team G-Force are going to pick up any points from this. But there is now Canoro in the lead of the race on lap 9. Just went slightly wide there at turn 1, and now has got to worry about Marshall behind and that whole group of cars that will all be thinking, well, there could be an opportunity now. The top 5 separated by just over 5 seconds. And this race is very much back on now. So Canoro leads, Marshall P2, Irampor P3, Peterson P4, and in P5 it's Belling, Butler P6, Prince P7. And so that is the top 7 for you. Irampor at the chicane, making it quite nicely. And Benson is back out onto the circuit now in 14th place. And now really does have a mountain to climb. And Peterson right behind Irampor, not quite going for a move, but a slightly wider line so we can cut into the right hand side. But going for the slipstream, just having a peek at the final corner. But now he's got Bailing right behind him. This is a fantastic battle for second place, third place even. All those cars separated about 0.3 of a second. Butler not too far behind it. There's Belling going for the move on the outside of Peterson. Both in Ferraris, and it is Bailing who manages to make the move stick. And so P4 it is for Bailing. So Belling is tied with Champagne Endurance for third place in the championship. So we'll now want to try and clear Irampor as quickly as is possible and go chase down Marshall in second place. And now Bailing putting on the pressure to Irampor. We've got a car off. can't quite tell who it is. But it's Butler. Butler's had an off in the Mustang. Oh no. And that's also at that very same chicane. And he wasn't too far behind that battle for third place. I thought he might be able to capitalise on a possible mistake, but he's down to 8th. And has got to work his way back up the order. Iramport just about hanging on to third place. Bailing is all over the back of him. And look at Bailing, they almost make contact there. They're almost touching. Bailing just cannot find the right opening to make a move on Iramport. But this is absolutely brilliant racing. They are absolutely all over each other. Bailing desperately trying to find an opening, force Iramport into a mistake as they now go down into the downhill chicane. But they both get through without issue. And they're both pushing the limits of each of their cars, desperately trying to find a way, well, for Iramport it's to stay ahead, but for Bailing it's to try and get past. And this could end up becoming the battle of the race. As there is a yellow flag, I think that's for a car in the pit lane. Iramport against Bailing. I think it's Peterson who's coming out of the pit lane, that's the issue there. And Peterson comes out behind this battle in 11th place. Marshall seems to now be in a sort of world of his own. He's 3 seconds ahead of this battle as Bailing is trying to force an opportunity now through turn 3. Oh, there's contact! They made contact, and Iramport got all out of shape, managing to stay on the road and stay ahead. And somehow that didn't end in a dramatic fashion. But the race continues on. Bailing still chasing Iramport, still hounding him, trying to shove him into a mistake. And I will just divert slightly for a moment. As you can see there, Canoro is coming up to Butler in 10th place. I wonder if that will end up being a hold-up. It shouldn't be too much of one for now at least, but it might become an issue at some point if Canoro carries on with his current pace. He's going to end up having to make a move on Butler. And there's Marshall. And we're back to this battle between Bailing and Iramport. There's a bit of a gap now between the two cars. Iramport just about pulling ahead as Bailing clipping the grass on the exit of turn 1. and now has his fellow Ferrari driver of Peterson breathing down his neck. Peterson is in 11th place, but it may end up holding him up, not overtaking Bayling. And now Canoro has managed to make it past the Mustang of Butler. I think Butler let him through at turn 4 or 5. But we're heading towards the half-an-hour mark in this race. The 1/3 mark. And, well, we've not had much shortage of drama here at Bathurst. It looked like the race was going to go to Benton, but something had happened to him. He's now running in 12th place. There's a huge battle for 3rd going on here between Irampor and Bayling, and this battle may end up catching up to Butler. He'll have to get out of the way strategically so he doesn't impede either car. And then the Ferrari behind is Peterson, who he will be battling. And now Marshall flashing the headlights to make it known to Butler that he's there, and Bayling is right behind Irampor again. He pulls out to the outside at turn 2. He's not going to give enough space, and they touch! A big crash, they both go round! Peterson gets through without any issue. The two drivers battling it out for 3rd place have collided. And it looks like a bit of a misjudgment on the part of Irampor. Who ends up in the pit lane now? It has now gone the way of Bayling, but he's now lost a lot of time to Marshall. 18 seconds now separate P2 and P3, but what utter drama. I wasn't entirely sure what happened at that point, but it looked like Bayling had just about got his nose in on the outside, and well, Irampor just didn't know. P9 still in the pit lane, and Prince finds himself in the pit lane as well. I missed that reason why. Benson has been absolutely flying in his Mustang, still holds the fastest lap of the race. And but Peterson ahead of him, 33 seconds separate them. And Peterson gains a couple of positions due to drivers pitting, and it is starting to get to that point where pit stops are going to be made. There's Bayling. And it was really a really good bit of skill from Peterson, who had a bit of time to register what was going on, but managed to make it through a crash between Irampor and Bayling pretty smoothly. And there is Marshall, and just under 5 seconds separate him and the leader Canoro. And Marshall will now be hoping for anything, any sort of mistake that gives him a chance to get past Kanoro, who's led this race really well since he inherited it. But there is Mathis, who I haven't really spoken about much in this race. He's currently running P5. He's had a very decent race today. .418. Stanek is in the Aston Martin. His team, multi-leaguer team, in 10th place in the championship. And the way the points are set out in this championship means that with the amount of runners we have in this race, there is it is impossible for you not to score a point, as the points go all the way down to 30th position. There's Butler in 7th place, Benson in 10th. He's really driving that car to the absolute limit. He's got Bender 5.5 seconds ahead of him, but that time just keeps going further and further down. And there he is, P9 for Bender in the Mustang number 10. Dark Horse, 8th place for him and his team. And he's got Benton closing down, as Benton has actually managed to make it past P4, the Porsche Kaulizik. But this seems like a proper good performance from, well, Benton. I was going to go to the race leader, but it is Benton really making this comeback drive work, and we'll stick around and have a look and see how his battle against Bender will go. The battle for 8th, it's now under a second between them. Bender and Benton fighting each other. Benton down the inside. That was easy from Benton as he moves up to 8th place. A really, really nice move. I think Benton, Bender realised that there was really not much point in fighting that. I mean, they are fighting each other in the championship, 8th and 9th in the two Mustangs. but that overtake costing sorry, give me a second. It cost Dark Horse 2 points, and the 2 points that separate them in the championship. So in the live standings, they are tied, the two Mustang teams, but I would not be surprised if Benton continues on this pace and overtakes Peterson, who's currently 26 seconds ahead in the Ferrari. But positions change so quickly in these sort of races, it's so difficult to actually follow it. There's Bailing, third place currently. He's got basically no one around him. He's got 21 seconds to Kaulizic, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce that name. 23 seconds now, and Marshall is 17 seconds ahead. And there he is, 6 seconds behind Canoro in the lead. So, lap 19 now. We have 50 minutes remaining in this race, and I can imagine it'll be another 50 minutes of drama, almost at the halfway mark. Some very smooth driving from Canoro in the lead, but Marshall is there, just breathing down his neck. Well, not necessarily breathing down his neck, but you can't really say that Canoro will be comfortable with the gap. It is slightly expanding. As we look further down the order, we've got Wilhelm in 10th place. Down into the chicane, the Porsche driver of Kowalczyk. Butler in 5th, as that is Marshall, I believe. Yeah, Marshall coming into the pit lane then, as he goes into lap 20. Comes in. So Bailing then gets promoted to 2nd place. Marshall waiting there, Bailing still around about 24 seconds behind race leader Canoro. And I would like to show Benton, in the time since he made his move on Bender, he's already pulled out a 12-second gap to Bender. That's double the gap between what first and second was. Marshall comes out of the pit lane. 4th place. Kowalczyk is ahead in the Porsche. And well, we're a minute and a half away from the halfway mark in this race. And so now is when you would expect more pit stops to happen. There is Stanek in 9th place in the Aston Martin. His team 10th in the championship. There's the car ahead. Troiano, I think, clipped the wall on the exit, just about managing to continue in the BMW. Wilhelm, 10th place, and not much around him at all. He's 16 seconds ahead of the leader, 17 seconds behind Stanek in P9.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
And what he said, we are at the halfway mark in this race. So, as things stand at the halfway mark, first goes to Canoro, second for Bailing, third is Kowalczyk, fourth is Marshall, fifth is Butler, sixth is Peterson, seventh is Benton, 8th is Bender, 9th place goes to Stanek, 10th for Wilhelm, 11th place goes to Troiano, 12th for Jackal. And it says that there are 13 cars. Can't find who's running 13th, so that is it. Oh, Troiano! I just managed to make it over to him on time. He's crashed. And it's again at that chicane where they crash. He had a bit of a moment there a couple of laps ago, and this time he's put it in the wall. He's now across the track, trying to turn it around in time. And, well, he's got Wilhelm, who is a place above him, now just behind him, managing to get out of his way in time, and now he's got to make sure that he just refocuses and doesn't make any more silly mistakes. And, well, the race leader has now pitted, so Kowalczyk now leads in the Porsche, yet to stop, and has just driven cleanly and ended up with the race lead, but will have to pit at some point in this race. And if you do just give me a second. So, Kowalczyk leads. Second is Kanoro. Kanoro is only 3 seconds behind. I wonder if that wasn't a pit stop. That could well have been just a mistake, although it was quite a ways ahead. I'm not entirely sure what has happened, but there's no damage on Kanoro's car. So it could well have just been a slight off or a pit stop, just he was that far ahead. But Marshall now 5.6 seconds behind. Bailing 22 seconds behind in fourth. And Kowalczyk pits. Kowalczyk does now pit. And so that means that Kanoro retakes the lead of the race here at Bathurst. So, smooth driving it is, and again down into that chicane, all working fine. There's Butler in 5th place in the Mustang. Bender in 8th in the Mustang. Jackal, also in a Mustang, 11th. Bailing. So, lap 24 then, here at Bathurst. Marshall still around about the same gap from the race leader. Just cannot find another way through. So, well, let's go to Benton, the pole sitter, running 7th place. Peterson in 6th is just 11 seconds up the road. And he holds the fastest lap of the race. 2 minutes and 1 second and 6 tenths. There is Marshall and the chicane, and And I don't see why not. We'll go for a lap on board with Canoro. Down into turn 1. 90-degree right-hander. Make sure you don't clip the grass on the exit, can spin you around very easily. Now this straight can feel like a lifetime heading down towards turn 2. We'll be desperate to make the right sort of braking, such a heavy braking zone. Another 90-degree right-hander, now deep into the technical part of this circuit. Left, and then the left, the banking really doesn't help you, it unsettles the car, then makes for a blind right-hander. And then another car, there could be a car on the inside and you wouldn't be able to see it. And then more crest, you can't hit that wall. But you have to get as close as you can. Now through the left-hander, don't clip the grass on the outside, deep. Downhill into the chicane, and the car ahead Bender has put it into the wall, just like so many others have done. And Canoro can make it through pretty easily. And now this is where it starts to get a bit simpler. Down this straight. And then uphill, and then right back downhill again, through the right-hander, have to keep it flat, and then a braking zone into the chicane. So many drivers lock up there, and then under the arch, you can go off to the pit lane there and into the final corner, another 90-degree left-hander, and onto the pit straight, which is actually one of the shortest straights of the track. Actually, I think the shortest straight of the track, and that is a lap of Bathurst. So, Canoro leads. Second is Marshall, and Bailing third. The top 3 hasn't really changed at all. So, Kowalczyk has also had a decent race in the Porsche. Now into the final corner. For Kowalczyk, I think he's just been the most consistent driver out there. Done really, really well not to make any sort of mistakes. It's such a difficult circuit. He's done extraordinarily well. Just so smooth on the controls. Sometimes in motorsports you don't have to be the fastest, you just have to be the smoothest. As Wilhelm finds himself in the pit lane again, certainly not the first time he stopped. But back to the race leader, Canoro has also been very consistent all race, and whoa, even though he's just made a snap of oversteer there, he is taken really well to being in the lead. There can be a lot of drivers out there who would feel the pressure simply of being at the front. Even with Marshall behind, I've been trying to close down for Asia's now 15 laps or so. But now we get to the part of the race where you know where you are, you know where your priorities are and what you need to do. It's just about executing what you need to do. And Peterson in 6th place. He's got Jackal behind, who seems to be putting pressure on. He's in 11th. And then there's Stanek behind, who's in 9th. So there's a whole mismatch of cars, and Peterson coming into the pit lane. And there's Benton, who will try and close that gap to Peterson. But now the closest driver ahead of him is 2nd place and the leader. So if he wants a chance at getting possibly a top 5 finish, well, top 5 would be Butler, who is 55 seconds ahead. His biggest fight now will probably be Peterson for 6th place. And, well, 6th, there's nothing to sniff at. It's a very good 30 points that his team G-Force would definitely want. It would add to the 28 that they currently have. Oh, just clipping the wall there on the outside of turn 2. But now into the final half hour of this race. It's not the end, it's certainly not the end. Still so much can happen. There's Bailing, who should be very happy with 3rd place in the Ferrari. It would add to their current points, but they won't be able to gain the position as Marshall is in 2nd ahead of them for Champagne, the team that he's tied on. So it looks like it will be just an addition. So, to go through the points, Canoro, as things stand, Canoro will receive 43 points from this race. 2nd, Marshall will receive 40 points to add to his current 40. And 3rd will receive 37, so that is Bailing. So, Prestige Worldwide Racing will have an additional 43 points to add to their current 34. That makes 77 points for them. That should move them up from 5th. Then 80 points for Champagne Endurance Team. Certainly keeps them ahead of Prestige Worldwide. And then just 3 points behind Champagne, will be bailing. So the championship still staying very, very close, but looking at the leader of the championship, number 74, one can only deduct they aren't racing today. But second place in the championship. I'm pretty sure I saw them at MJ Sport at least at some point during this race. They're number 46. See, not at this point. But Jackal locked in battle with Mattis. Mustang versus BMW, the battle for 10th. Both cars look, and will certainly Jackal's car looks damaged. I'm not sure about Mattis, but that is on the outside. Mattis through the flat right-hander. He makes the move done before he has to turn. That's a really, really nice move. Really nice and clean. And Jackal with a huge snap of oversteer. We're trying to get the power down. But it does not look like this battle is going to end anytime soon. Stanek pits in the Aston Martin. And now Jackal is falling behind, away from Mattis. And now this is Benton chasing down Peterson. And this is a very strange scenario that you do get quite a lot in these sorts of races. He has to overtake 5th and 4th before he can overtake 6th. Of course, that's what happens when you're a lap down. Makes these races a whole lot more confusing. And there is Peterson. We're on lap 30 here. And there is Bailing. 27 seconds behind Marshall, 35 seconds behind the leader, Canoro. With 23 minutes, 23 and a half minutes to go. There is an element of just bring the car home for Bailing. P4 Kowalczyk just 37 seconds behind. So it's just make sure you stay consistent, make sure you don't make any silly mistakes, and bring the car home for P3. There is Marshall, the gap between him and Canoro ever growing. So it might also be the same thoughts going through Marshall's head as well. as Mattis overtook Jackel a couple of laps ago. Hasn't managed to properly lose him, still just about within a second. And this battle could end up reigniting. There is Stanek in the Aston Martin, currently running 10th, says out of 11. But I can't actually find the 11th car. So, Stanek in the Aston Martin, number 666, multi-leaguer team. 26 points, this 10th place will add 22 to their current 26. And Butler, I'm not sure if he's closing. I think it does look like he is closing to Kowalczyk, so that could become an interesting battle for 4th place. And I have said a few times about closing and opening gaps, but that's not really something you think about as a driver, especially in a race that's of a distance as this. You just want to get into the right flow, and once you reach that state of mind where there's literally nothing else you're thinking about, you're just thinking about the next apex, the next breaking point, there does then eventually become a sort of, okay, that's the car ahead, what do I need to do to catch him and then pass him? But if you're, for example, Bender would be a good example. He's got 5 seconds to Matthias behind him. There's basically nobody anywhere near ahead of him. He's got Butler 26 seconds ahead, 25 seconds. Butler, that gap's going down pretty quickly. Can't actually tell where he is. But anyways, Bender will just be focusing on that braking point. That's when you turn. And that's why, like, small mistakes like going slightly wide can be so crucial to a race, because it knocks you, it takes you straight out of that state of mind, and then you are thinking about everything. Where are all the cars? What do I need to do to go and win this race? And that's not what you need to be thinking about, because it means you're not focusing fully on what the car is doing, and then that can lead to bigger and bigger and bigger mistakes. So 18 minutes remain in this America's Racing League Endurance Series race here at Bathurst. The leader, Canoro in the BMW. Second is Marshall in the AMG. Third is Bailing in the Ferrari. Then 4th place goes to Kowalczyk. 5th for Butler, who is closing in. This could become a bit of a battle for 4th place. Then 6th place goes to Peterson. Oh, sliding and ends up in the barriers. Didn't go around, but wow, that was very close to a very big accident. And what I was saying about that frame of mind, he is now completely out of it. He has to refocus. And while he's doing that, he is losing precious seconds. Although P5 is 32 seconds ahead of him, and P7 is nearly a minute behind, so not too much of an issue for him. And back to bailing in the Ferrari in 3rd place, who is also in a bit of a world of his own. And, well, I said this might kick off. It does look like this is going to become a proper battle between Butler and Kowalczyk. Butler now wants to get the run. Downhill, then uphill, then downhill. He's not in the slipstream though. He's pulled right out from the slipstream and is staying out of the slipstream. But is still catching and is still alongside as they go into the right, flat right-hander. But he didn't have enough confidence to go side by side. And Kowalczyk goes off. Kowalczyk goes off anyways. Off the track, onto the grass. Butler gets P4. And well, it was a smart idea not to carry on flat through the right-hander. 15 minutes to go. And, well, Butler has made it up to 4th, and that could be a crucial change for the standings. But not that I can see. And there is Stanek in the Aston Martin. And we go on board through the flat right-hander and down into the chicane where, oh, and he's made the same mistake that Kowalczyk has made. He tried to come on earlier though and ends up in the wall. He didn't have enough grip when he came back onto the circuit. And that is another mistake from another driver in this race. And as heartbreaking as it can end up being for the drivers, for spectators watching the drivers make mistakes is all part of the watching pleasure. But Stanek now is 2/10 quicker than his fastest lap. 3/10 now as he goes through turn 2. Really nice line. Listen to that Aston Martin growl. Back on the mistakes, Bathurst is a track where drivers do tend to make many a mistake. Through the left-hander, 4/10 quicker, although he looked like he was going a bit wider through the left-hand kink, so I had to lift a bit. Through the chicane now, he's lost a lot of time through the chicane and is now pretty much on par with his quickest lap. By the way, his quickest lap is a 2-minute 4.9. As we approach 12 minutes remaining in this race. And Stanek rounds the final corner, and it will end up being around about 0.4 quicker than his quickest time. And by the way, Butler passed Kowalczyk not that long ago, but is now just over 5 seconds behind Butler. And there is Bender in 7th place, Jacqueline 9th. And there's Canoro, who gets past Jackal, who gets quite nicely out of his way. And Canoro heading on towards his first race win of this series. I sincerely apologise, there were some technical difficulties there. But I don't believe there has been anything that I have missed, as we now have 8.5 minutes to go. And Marshall really has fallen away from Canoro. 17 seconds the gap now. But it is a good 30 seconds between him and third place, Bailing. So, not much. But looks like it will change for any three of those drivers. So moving away from the top three, there's Peterson, who's had a very solid race in his Ferrari, running P6. And there's Bender in the Mustang, doing really well in said Mustang. So there is Butler running in P4. Looks like it'll be a good race for him as well. Kowalczyk, P5. And Bender will have to move out of the way for Canoro. Blue flags being waved. Or probably move out of the way down the main straight. Or won't do, stays on the racing line. And Canoro looks to be stuck behind him. Bender went slightly wider. So Canoro just about makes it through. Bender then goes behind, flashing the lights. And now the next hurdle for Canoro is Mattis. In P8, it's about 6 seconds ahead on the track. And there is Stanek running in last place. And has Marshall closing down, who is in second place, to lap him. And Peterson, yeah, I believe it is, Peterson into the pit lane. In the final 4 minutes, within the final 5 minutes. He's got the emergency lights on. That could be game over for Peterson. Jackal 35 seconds ahead of Stanek in last. I can't see the gap between Mattis and him. Mattis in 8th. And there is Canoro, the race leader. 3.5 minutes remain here at Bathurst, which will probably include the lap that the race leader Canoro is currently on, and then the next lap. This may well be the penultimate lap of the race. And, well, what an enthralling race it has been. So, in the closing stages, not much happening. Most drivers just trying to make their way to the finish line. But Canoro and Marshall both have had a really, really good race, both improving on their qualifying positions. And Stanek with Bailing behind, and Stanek hitting the wall on the inside. I guess that's one way of letting a driver through. And now there's Peterson, who also wants to get through. And, well, just about, but that was relatively dangerous. Chopping and changing sides, and Stanek in the wall again. Just 1 minute 30 remaining. Canoro. Now, what I said may well be the final lap, but it won't be. Probably won't be, at least. So we're in the final minute. We're counting down the seconds, the checkered flag. It's been a really entertaining race here at Bathurst. We've had crashes, overtakes and drama. And now most of the drivers wanting to see that finish line, whether they've had a good race or a possibly not so great race. 30 seconds remain. But for this man here, Canoro, he's had a fantastic race in that BMW. Gained positions, and the moment he got the lead, he never let go of it. There is the checkered flag. Canoro finishes the race in P1, the race winner for BMW, and claims all 43 points. There's Marshall, who comes home in a very, very respectable second place. A very good race for him as well. 40 points. And we got drivers doing donuts there after crossing the line. There's Bailing, who had that tussle when fighting for third place and then never let go of it. As he rounds the final corner to round out the podium, Bailing comes home in P3. Butler currently running P4, although has Kowalczyk in P5 behind. Could this go down to the wire? Could this go down to the final corner? And it'll be the last of the positions that are up in the air as they go down towards the flat right-hander, where Butler lifted off and then forced Kowalczyk into a mistake to take that position here at this chicane. And that's going to be all for it. Butler rounds the final corner and takes the checkered flag in P4. A very nice race for him. Kowalczyk comes home in P5. Stanek already in the pit lane. And well, that was it. The race at Bathurst comes to an end. And what a race it was as well. Canoro comes home victorious. And he drove really well. And that chicane there claimed many a driver. accelerates down towards said chicane. I can imagine he is very, very happy with that performance. Marshall coming into the pit lane, having got second place for his team. Champagne Endurance. What an extraordinary race. And it's all over. Thank you so very much. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.